We call the meeting to order. This is the Michigan City Port Authority Board of Directors meeting, Monday, September the 12th. Our first order of business will be to approve or correct the minutes of the August 15th meeting.
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
I have a motion second to approve the minutes. Do we have questions or comments? Questions or comments? Hearing none, those who favor the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. And the minutes are approved. At this point on the agenda, we offer our guests an opportunity to address the board if they wish to do so. Mr. Cooper? Mr. Freeze? Don?
That was aye.
Okay. You'll have an opportunity later if something comes up. Mr. Frame, may we have the harbor master's report, please?
Sure. Over the Labor Day weekend, we had the Tri-State race, and maybe Mr. Cooper can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm going to say you had in the neighborhood of 25 or 30 sailboats for the Tri-State race. That seemed to go pretty well, and as far as I know, they've had a good time. I didn't hear anybody say they didn't have a good time, so that's out of the way. We're starting to wind down for the season. Most of the big events are finished now. You may have noticed the Corps of Engineers barge out today. They're here for a couple weeks doing some touch-up, finish-up work on the pier repair that they did last year, which is basically the section from the gap of the basin going north. When they did the repair last year, they stopped right at about where the stairway goes up to the catwalk. And I think the section they're doing is from right there to the pier itself. And then if they have time, they're also going to do some more fortifying on the detached break wall out there. So that's the big concrete plant on a floating barge that they have in here. So the other barge that's out there is still related to the intake project for the park department. I don't think they've quite finished that up yet. And then across the way, you may have noticed some work going on at NIPSCO. They're in the process of taking down the 3 old smokestacks on the old generating station. So they have a scaffold that's climbing its way up to the top, and then they'll start taking it down as they come back down. It's kind of interesting. Also, we sent out a copy the other day of a license agreement, and Mr. Zachman, maybe you can help me with this a little bit. We're coming up to when we start sending out renewal notices for next year. We'd like to get those in the mail before October 15th, so everybody has 30 days to get their $200 deposit in. And since we approved the slip rental contract, it came to our attention that there's some advantages to referring to it as a slip rental license. So Mr. Zachman went through and changed contract to license and some other little things to go along with that. So if possible, we'd like to approve that tonight. I know it's short notice. The reason being then we can get our software man to install that in our marina program, because what normally happens when a customer renews or signs up a contract, we just put in the name, boat information, and then the computer prints it out and fills in the blanks. And we'd like to be able to print out the new agreement and send it to everybody with their renewal agreement that's going to be going out in the mail, like I said, here shortly. So if anybody has any questions on it, we'd be more than happy to try to answer those. Then while you're thinking about that, as we go through the bills, you'll notice around $7,400 for a Trail Creek fence repair. That was the repair that was done after the car went through the fence earlier in the summer. We have already received a check from the person's insurance company on that, so we've already been reimbursed for that. You'll also notice forklift, that we ran a second forklift during boat show. We've sent the bill to them and they've reimbursed us on that. And then you'll also see a bill for the barge that's out here as a break wall for the boat show. And the last several years we've split that 50-50 with the boat show. So we haven't received the check yet for half of that yet, but we should here pretty soon. And then my one last request, and I think you've all gotten an email, we were asked by the mayor's office to extend the porta potties that we put up by the north bathhouse through the end of October. They're currently scheduled to end, I believe, September 16th. So if we could get permission to do that, that would be good. The cost of it to go through the rest of the year from the 16th to the end of October is about $540 total. And the reason it's less is because this time of year they don't do the daily cleaning. It's like every other day because there's just not as many people around. So with that, I'll answer any questions that anybody has about anything.
Well, you've given the board a couple issues that they need to discuss and vote on. So let's step back just a little bit. Mr. Zagnoon, do you have anything you'd like to share with the board regarding the new contract and, of course, answer the board's questions that they may have?
Certainly. As Mr. Frame indicated, instead of using a slip lease agreement, I elected to draft this as a slip license agreement. The reason for that is it's easier to terminate a license than it is to terminate a lease. There is an Indiana statute which provides for certain steps that have to be taken, various durations before which you can take an action which will ultimately allow you to go into court. Whereas with a license agreement, if, for example, you have a voter that is being loud and using profanity and throwing beer bottles and cans into the harbor, it's much easier to terminate that slip holder's license than it is the lease agreement. So I elected to draft this as a license for that reason. This document is largely, in fact, it's almost substantially identical to the service contract, which the board approved a few weeks ago, except the object of the contract here is the slip license as opposed to the services. But it's, I'm not going to say it's verbatim, but it is very close to verbatim to the agreement we've already approved. I believe one was circulated last week. There are just two very, very minor changes in this version, the final version, which we would ask the board to discuss and approve. And I believe they're in paragraph 4 and perhaps 6. I might be mistaken about that, but generally, the only change is it said the vessel described above in those two paragraphs, when it should have been the vessel described below, because you'll see at the end of page 2, that's where we have the description of the vessel, the name, the vessel make and model, and the ID number. But other than that, it's identical to what was circulated to you last week and virtually identical to the winter storage agreement, which the board has reviewed and approved. If the board has any questions, I'd be more than happy to address those and answer them.
Board, do you have questions? Yes.
Number 6 here on the lien for storage fees and charges. Is this the same type of lien that we put on when somebody leaves, abandons their boat? In other words, we had to take them to court and so forth and so on.
It is.
This is the same type of lien.
It is, and it's referring to the same statutes which authorize the authority to take those actions.
Okay. If you look at the last line in this, vessel owner shall pay reasonable attorney's fees, costs, and all other charges incurred by the Michigan City Port Authority as a result of enforcing this or any other provision of the slip license agreement. Does that mean if you have to take them to court, that they have to pay you instead of we pay you? Is that what that means?
No, what it means is in the judgment that the Port Authority would recover, the amount that the Port Authority paid for attorney's fees would be included in the judgment against the defendant. So they don't pay me directly. They reimburse the Port Authority for the attorney's fees that the Port Authority incurred by reason of their breach of the license.
I see, and then we pay you.
Correct.
Gotcha. I think you know why I asked the question.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Board, do you have other questions?
Just out of curiosity, and I'm all for this, do you recall how many people we have asked or dismissed from our harbor? How many old agreements?
In my memory, I can't think of any. I think prior to that, there may have been one or two
There
that
have been.
Mary Ann remembers. And as far as abandoned goes, I can only think of one boat that we took out of here in December because the guy just didn't come back and get it. You rarely get them abandoned from slips down here. It usually ends up once they're in winter storage, and then they just never come back out of that.
Any questions or comments? Any other questions or comments? Well, the chair will entertain a motion if the board is so inclined.
I'll make a motion that we accept the Michigan City Port Authority slip license agreement as presented.
I second that.
Got a motion and a second to approve the contract proposal. Are there other questions or comments? Other questions or comments? Hearing none, those who favor the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. And the motion carries. Then the next issue you left us with, Mr. Frame, had to do with the payment of portable products on the lakefront, two of them, from the 16th of September until
The end of October,
at a total fee for
$540.
$540. It's open for discussion, board.
I don't understand why we're continually being asked to do this. This is not a Port Authority issue. I understand it's a city, Michigan City issue, and it's a minor dollar amount. It's the principle to me that I really don't understand. While I can go along with it again today, I will take issue with it if it comes up next spring. I just don't understand it. My comments.
Board? Anybody else have a comment?
The reason it's so much cheaper is because it's the lack of use that it's going to get because they don't clean it as often, so we don't have to pay for that. Well, to me, that indicates we don't even need those there anymore. And I think our bath facilities down here that we provide to the city, or not to the city, I should say to the residents and the people that visit the park and stuff like that, are perfectly adequate without us putting out more money for a couple more porta potties. I don't think they're necessary.
They closed, Sunday was the last day for the restrooms to be open down here. Which restroom? The public side.
Public restrooms?
Yeah, the cover station.
Keep it open.
When we built the gate on Bruce.
Why don't we keep it open?
I agree, we gotta keep it open.
I don't know.
Why should we pay extra money to
I don't know.
provide another facility for them? When it's actually a park department issue.
I just don't, as I said, I just don't understand. There's got to be some other things in the background here, and I just don't understand what they are. I'll support it today, but I'll take issue with it next spring.
Any other board comments?
Do we pay to keep those clean, or is that?
The bathrooms? No.
Okay, so.
The external ones, the park department maintains.
No, okay. So so the keeping those open would be a park decision, it's not ours, okay.
Well, if we don't pay to clean them, why is it so much cheaper? If we're only gonna clean them once in a while.
No, I'm talking about the
We're talking about the public. Okay. Sorry.
Mr. Haynes, do you have an opinion on this?
What? Yeah, we've paid for it in the past, but it's about time for us to take notice that it's costing us. And they have facilities available to be used and employees to maintain those. And I don't think it's up to Port Authority to pick up the expense when there's facilities available.
Well, I can understand Mr. Ferguson's and Mr. Haynes' position. I'd say I'm in support this time as well, this time around. I believe there's a lot of maybe logistical things that need to be worked out as far as the new wave of people we're getting in and crossover events and things like that. So I think after this, we will have to make a decision, you know, that they'll take it from here the next time. But I'm in support this time until everything is leveled out.
Mr. Messina?
Yeah, I don't want to see it broadened out to something else. I'd like to see one put down here for our shore fishermen also. You want to put it over here, put it over
There's
here
one
for
over
shore
there for half a year.
fishermen.
There's one.
There's one.
Well, it's way down now, okay. Yeah, I feel the same way. I don't want to see it broadened out and anything more so next year. And if we're going to support it, if we do support it, I think we may possibly contact the park department about opening up theirs.
We'll try that.
Well, we have to request
It's
the
a
city.
guess of mine that, you know, they probably have seasonal workers as well, and that's why the public restrooms are shut down at a certain time of year. So it sounds like there's some things that need to be worked out before they can actually.
Well, we have a park department representative here, and I don't intend to put you on the spot, so.
You can't, because I
do
know.
that.
But in answer to that question.
But you are hearing the comments.
Right, yes. And Mrs. Muir is correct. If we lose our seasonal workers, it's a large check off the list of our workers we have. And I'm not saying that's the reason, but it could possibly be one of the reasons that our workforce is cut way down.
Well,
But it's a good point. I can understand your plight.
you've heard the comments from the
Yes.
board, and I'm sure that you understand.
I do, I understand your plight on that, but I mean, we go through the same thing in some issues.
Board, if we move forward on this, we need a motion.
I make a motion to go ahead and approve the request for the end of the season for the porta pots near the pier at the end of the parking lot.
I second.
Two of them?
Yes.
Do we have a second?
I second.
We have a motion and a second to continue providing 2 units through the end of October at a cost of $540. Are there any questions or comments?
I would just maybe, if Mr. Haynes would want to amend his motion to say, as a last resort of them not being able to open their public restrooms again. Yeah. So this is, if they can't do that, then we are doing this.
Is that possible?
I don't know. I think, Jeremy have to talk about that. I guess anything's possible, but I can't give you a definite, I can give you a definite maybe. But I can't give you a
If the board member intends to support the amendment proposal, we'll need a second. Do I have a second? Do I have a second? The amendment proposal fails for lack of a second.
I have one other thing I'd like to say before we vote on this. When does this end? When are we done with this? We have to keep it longer. What is the date? September?
Well, right now it ends the 16th.
The 16th of September. Well, that gives us until the 16th to make a decision on this. I don't think we have another meeting before
Looks
then.
like Friday.
That's this Friday.
Yep, right.
Could we possibly table this and have a representative from the park department go to the park department and see if they can open their restrooms?
All right, we have a motion to table. To go forward with that motion, we need a second. Is there a second? Is there a second to table? The motion to table fails for lack of a second to the original motion. I'm going to call for the vote. Those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Aye.
We have two opposed. The motion passes. Thank you, board.
Can I make a statement about that? If it would have been early in the season, I may not have been as well for it, but getting later in the season, it is hard to schedule something that's already in the making. It's hard to schedule staff to do something when we're kind of expected to provide this service. But I think if it's brought up a little earlier next year, and the park department can make alternate changes because of the way, how we feel about the situation, maybe they can plan better.
I think that something may work well for us, and I think you may mention it earlier, is for the two superintendents to get together before this happens next year.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I only oppose this because if that is a possibility, we shouldn't be paying for something. And we just let that possibility out.
Well,
John, in response to what you said, it would have been more prudent, I think, for them to request that we have it from start date to end date to include October, or however long they wanted to go. Why all of a sudden do we have to pick it up again?
I don't remember how it was last year, but we did it, I think we did it last year also. We stuck it out there after the end of the season,
Right. I'll have to look it up.
and we picked it up.
are there other issues that the board would like to ask of the harbor master?
Maybe one, just a correction maybe for the notes, and maybe I'm wrong. Mr. Frame said that the barge out there that's digging for the city clean out is by the park department. I think that's by the sanitation department, for the water department. not the
Well,
water
it's straight off of the beach, like if you were in the park,
Yeah, but
that's usually where they do the work. But they park over here
Mhm.
along.
But I thought you said the work was being done by the park department.
Well, if I did,
Just
I'm wrong.
correction to the
It's the
notes.
water department
Yeah.
that's
Okay.
doing that, yeah.
Anything else? I have one question. At the last meeting, our attorney advised us that the Pierce account had been settled and that the boat was going to be removed. Has it been?
The account has been settled, the boat has not yet been removed.
Well, then when do we start the new fee schedule?
So it's like now already. I think Mr. Zachman was gonna talk to Mr. Pierce and see what his schedule was, but I have not heard a firm date on Mr. Pierce leaving just yet.
I did. I called him, left a message for him last week, I believe on either Thursday or Friday, indicated to him, thanked him for clearing up his account, but advised him that part of the agreement was that he was to remove the boat, that our understanding was that he had made arrangements to do so. And then based on a conversation I had with Mrs. Palicki, I indicated to him that a bill was going out for his continuation of storing the boat on Port Authority property. And in the message, I said he needs to either remove the boat or he's gonna have to pay to store it. I followed up with another message today. Everybody's got caller ID and maybe he sees where the phone call is coming from. But I've left him two messages. I'll follow up this week with a more formal letter to him, and that perhaps will trigger a response one way or the other. Either he gets the boat out or he pays to store it.
Okay. All right, Mrs. Blicky, may we have your report, please?
This is the flower that was over behind the old building over here, so if anybody wants to know the name of it, this was it.
Which one? The one-
The yellow flower.
Oh, yes. You talked about the last meeting.
It's also a updated meeting date, that there was an error on it, so this is the new one. the meetings have been back to back, but they weren't this month. They're on the 12th and the 26th, so that's been corrected. We have our new customer listing. And we are up to 122 new customers this year, which is 35 more new customers than we had last year at this time. And that is a substantial amount in something like this.
There's a possibility to pick up some more in the spring, right?
Right. This is just for this year's amount. And here's our monthly rentals that we had for all three marinas, and now it's totaling $24,220, which also is a good number for it. And then we have our occupancy statistics here. And also the storage trailer on the back. All the trailers you see at Spread Point and Trail Creek, they are charged to be there. Like for just the trailers for summer, it's almost over $9,000 with that for those trailers being there. So it all really counts up. And I think that that's all I have.
Mary Ann, I have a question. You said that meeting's September 26th, not the 19th?
Correct.
Okay.
Board, do you have questions to Mrs. Kawicki on her report?
I just have one more thing, don't get scared over the bills, but it's been because we haven't had a meeting in a month. Don't you there.
On her occupancy report, at this point then, Washington Park is 89% occupied, and Trail Creek is 80%. We've done really, really well. And if you'll notice, in the unrealized income column, that number is way down from what we're accustomed to see. So things are going in our way. Mr. Garrett, budget and finance.
Yeah, as was just referenced to, this is very lengthy, and I sat and counted. Actually, there are 63 line items, so I am not going to touch on 63 line items. I'm going to touch on 12. So, and you'll understand why in a few seconds. So, one of the first ones I'm going to touch on is about a quarter of the way down on page 1, if you're looking. It's for B&E for $2,619.78, and that is for some boat repairs. And then 2 down from there is landscaping for $4,093.06 for allowed landscaping and maintenance. And then about 4 or 5 down from there is for $2,646 for that's Midwest Security. And then 3 down from there, $2,581 is trash removal and things like that. And 1 down from there for $4,568.21. That's our card services, member services, or credit card for various items. And below that is for $7,412. That's the reimbursement for the fence that Tim talked about. Then pretty much about bottom, or almost bottom of the page for $9,914. That is for payroll, and 5 or so down from there, which is actually line item 33 if you actually count all these. $18,156.99 is our NIPSCO bill. And if you flip the page and go to for the $7,930, the reimbursement for the barge for the boat show. No, sorry, that's not the reimbursement, that's the charge for the boat show, we're gonna get reimbursed for 50% of that, at some point. And then halfway through this page, for $64,000, which is large, $64,455, 38 cents, that is for gas, for resale. And, that is roughly it, and if you add up all those items, it comes to $131,788.16 for 12 of the items. The other 51 total about $20,000, which, if you divide that up, is very small and minute. So, with that said, unless there's any questions, I will make a motion that we pay our bills as presented.
Make a second to that motion.
We have a motion and a second to pay our bills as they have been presented and posted. Do we have other questions or comments from the board? Questions or comments from the board? Hearing none, those who favor Mr. Garrett's motion, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. The motion carries and we pay our bills. Do you have anything else, Mr. Garrett?
I do not.
Mr. Manor, claims and insurance and park liaison.
I have nothing to report on either issue.
Mr. Ferguson, master planning and special projects.
Nothing to report at this time.
Mr. Messina, Board of Communications and Special Events.
I mean, for the record, I was down here this weekend, spent a lot of time on my boat and walking the docks. And I just stopped and talked to some of the people I knew, some of the people I didn't know, and just asked any comments that they had for the Port Authority and how things were this spring and summer. And just about everyone was a positive comment. Probably one of the biggest things was the cleanliness of the whole facility, the lawn care, the flowers, the restroom facilities, the fish cleaning station, were the biggest items that they were talking about. They all liked all the amenities that we have surrounding us. So I didn't hear anything negative during my tenure down here, mostly yesterday. Just for the record, it seems like everybody's happy that's here, and
It's good news because a lot of our voters are here by recommendation from their friends.
yeah, some things in the past years, we've had problems with maybe stench or something from the fish cleaning station. None of that. Maybe the restroom air conditioner not working. I don't think we had any outages on that. So nothing really.
I don't think there were any ice machine issues.
Ice machine seems to be working well. I didn't have any complaints on that early in the season, maybe so, but I think some of those are to be expected.
Anything else?
Yeah, kind of ask, since we're a big sponsor of the junior sail program, I kind of talked to Mr. Cooper yesterday and asked him maybe he'd just give us an update if he has something on it.
Thank you. Junior sail again this year was in our opinion, was very successful. We were a little short of last year's attendance, but we were still in the middle 70s somewhere. I don't have the final count. I'll report that when I get all of it. One of the issues that came up at junior sail is some of the people that return and return. We've been limited in the past to having 2 Vanguard 420s, which is a larger boat, larger meaning about 13 feet. However, it was a boat that was used in the Olympics in the past. We've been able to acquire another one, so we feel that some of the students will be returning next year because we've got a little bit larger boat for them to train on. In addition, we still have 8 of our optimists, which are the smaller ones that we begin the program with the 8, 9, 10-year-olds with the smaller boats. Everybody seemed happy. We have no accidents. We have no claims on our $2,000 worth of insurance. and that's good. We like that. Regarding the tri-state, step back just a second to Tim. I think we actually had 34, maybe 35 votes. Several of them stayed inside the marina, so there was a little bit of slip around with that. We're getting very positive feedback now on the Tri-State, which was in a lot of jeopardy for a few years. Some years passed, and some of you may not realize, our channel silted in, or whatever we call that, if that's a good term. And we were not able to get any boats in with a draft, a keel, much deeper than about 6 feet. That was what was kind of killed our Tri-State, where we used to have close to 200 boats come in. They were not able to get in the channel. Once they began going to St. Joe and then back to Chicago, it's hard to break that pattern. However, in talking with some of the folks that were here, some of the other larger fleets, specifically the Beneteau 36.7s, there is an interest that they're thinking of coming back to Michigan City. Those that are here have been very pleased with the facilities. Thank you, Tim, for arranging the porta potties, having the dumpsters ready. Everything is in tip-top shape when the Tri-State races come. Last weekend, we had another 12 or 13 boats come in, but it wasn't near the party because they were all solo sailors. The solo scramble, as it's called, are people that sail by themselves. Dave Rarick, one of our members in the Michigan City Yacht Club, last year completed an around-the-world voyage by himself. We're very proud of Dave. Many of you who've been around know Dave. And it's quite a challenge to sail. He had a Class 40, sailed it around the world by himself, made 4 or 5 stops, but it's quite an accomplishment. He kind of leads these solo sailors. It's called the Great Lakes Solo Sailors. And Michigan City has been a favorite stop of theirs because of, once again, hospitality. This year, fortunately, we've got, I'm not sure, Marianne, but we had 5, maybe 6 that rented slips last weekend. And that's nice that we can generate some income back. The yacht club itself, there's some exciting things going on. This year we have, I believe we've doubled our membership. We have a lot of new members, some from the community, many from the marina. We're looking to grow a lot more next year. There's some exciting things going on in the building across the parking lot, and I can't talk too much about it yet, but we look forward to a great year.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cooper. I have,
That's all I have, this question.
are you close, Greg? You two together? I have nothing to report on board operations. Mrs. Muir, do you have anything on advertising and public relations?
Yes. Last Friday, I attended the Natural Green Infrastructure tour in Grand Rapids, Michigan, and Harbor Master Frame attended as well. It was, let's see here, it was organized as a collaborative effort by the City of Michigan City, the Park Department, Sanitary District, and it was paid for mostly by a grant, EPA grant. And the purpose of the tour was to engage, city staff with the Grand Rapids elected officials, the experts and everything on how natural green infrastructure can help the city capitalize on eco-tourism, growing existing businesses, improve stormwater management, promote a clean waterway, and beautify neighborhoods to the enjoyment of current and future, including recently installed, future residents, sorry. So it went very well. It was very interesting. Let's see here. Michigan City is positioned to similarly capitalize on our own assets, including the recently installed Wabash Street, which is a green infrastructure improvement project as well. Other citywide urban best management practices such as rain gardens and Trail Creek. So it was a great opportunity. I won't even attempt to explain some of the processes. I'll leave that up to the experts. But it was very interesting to see some of their parking lots have a porous, things like that, and their green stormwater systems, and their plans for removing the dams, which is a very huge undertaking. They have a dam system there that they plan to remove the whole system, and went over some of that as well, the history of that. So it was very informative, and I think it was about maybe 40 people attended altogether, and most of them were Michigan City representatives, so it was very informative.
Park department was there too.
Yes. Well, someone was.
Yeah.
And also, just to throw in there, after this particular thing that over the weekend, the mayor and I went to South Haven, Michigan, and we, scoped out their system as well. So Michigan City has a lot to, brag about. We did a little comparing, and that's it.
Good. It's a nice report, board. Do you have questions or comments? Mrs. Muir, now that we have our new slip over contracts and we have our new rates and everything set, we're getting ready to advertise all of that. Now, have we updated?
Next week.
Not yet, yes.
I assume that you want to be a part of that.
If I need be. If I must.
I might recommend, Mrs. Muir, that if you have the opportunity and you have the time, it might be something nice for you to get involved in.
Okay. Then I take it, Ms. Pilecki can shoot me an email when that process begins?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you have anything else?
No, that's it.
Thank you. Mr. Zach Nunn.
Yes, I have one item on the agenda. We covered the slip agreement, we covered Mr. Pierce. That leaves Mr. Groves, the gentleman who is a judgment debtor to the Port Authority, and he's the gentleman that's in Illinois. He was served with the proceeding supplemental. This Wednesday morning, he is to appear in court. There's a document that he has to fill out, which identifies the property that he has, various assets. Then I'm given the opportunity to ask him additional questions about his asset. No, this will be in Will County. So Wednesday morning, I will do that, assuming he shows up. If he does not show up, then he's in contempt of court, and the sheriff's can go out and arrest him if he doesn't show up. So hopefully he shows up, and I'll get the information that the Port Authority will need to decide how it wants to proceed. As I indicated, he's underwater in everything. In other words, his house is to the bank, and he's up to the hilt on credit cards and everything like that. It might be a very small amount of money that the Port Authority could get every month, but that remains to be seen. He may have sufficient assets. If he does, I'll report back, and then we can proceed to collect on the judgment.
Well, Mr. Zagner, the board, based on my experience with the board, has never been punitive in its attitude. We simply realize that we have a business to operate, and as much as possible, we want to collect the money that's due us. So I'm sort of sorry to hear that the client is having that kind of a problem. That doesn't give me any joy.
Yeah. What I'll do, if he makes a settlement offer, obviously I don't have the authority to accept it, but I'll bring it back to the board, and then the board can decide if it wants to accept a settlement. I mean, if he's willing to pay an amount of money within 10 days or 15 days or 30 days, whatever the offer turns out to be, it might be a better route to go than trying to collect $15 or $20 a month. Yes.
You say he's underwater, so.
No, I said it's possible. He could be
So he
underwater.
hasn't filed bankruptcy,
He has not, to my knowledge.
because I'm sure if he does that, we won't get anything.
If he files bankruptcy, I can't even ask him questions.
Right.
So I'll check the bankruptcy docket first, because, yeah, we would want to violate the automatic stay in bankruptcy.
Any other questions of Mr. Zagnon? Do you have anything else to report?
I do not.
Thank you. Is there any new business to come before the board? Yes.
I heard a rumor that the Overboard restaurant will be closing, or is closed.
Did what?
The restaurant is closing, or is closed.
It is
It
closed.
is closed. Where do we stand with the lease with that business?
The
By
lease,
Port Authority.
the lease goes with the property.
Oh, it's probably not the,
It's locked into the property, and we've been paid up to date.
Oh, okay.
Am I, tell me, I'm correct on
I
it.
believe that's correct.
To the end of this month.
Okay.
Okay.
So, Ms. Brooks, I don't believe is there anymore. Mr. Cooper, can you answer that?
I believe she's there until the end of the month. Right now, I think she's operating Thursday through Sunday.
Okay. All right. Anything else? Mr. Cooper and Mr. Freeze?
Just a comment, I will take the problem with the, it's a problem, but the situation with the bathrooms. I will call Jeremy tomorrow and tell him to contact him, and then they can talk about it. Going fishing there, Dan. So I'll get hold of him tomorrow and let him know. Our next meeting's not till a week from this Wednesday.
Thank you, fellow.
Sam, just, I want to say one thing, is there's always long lines at the bathrooms during the summer. So I'll go over and tell people, they don't even know they have new bathrooms and showers at the other end. Might not hurt to put up a sign. These are closed, go over by fire and water.
I mean, the new building now?
Yeah, I mean, people don't know that. And you know, so there was a sign up there.
Maybe Phil can help out some on that too.
Yeah, bring it to their attention. I'm sure they'd love to have them come to the fire and water, maybe buy something.
That comes from Don, who's down there all the time.
Okay, then we're at the bottom of our agenda. And the chair will accept the motion for adjournment.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
So, we're adjourned, board. Thank you. Nice meeting. Got a minute?
I got one down.